Since 2003, this is The Sports Source with your host, John Pennington.
The Sports Source is presented by Junk Be Gone, Pipe Wrench, and the Garza Law Firm.
The Sports Source starts now.
Good Sunday morning. Welcome into the Junk Be Gone studios for the Sports Source. We have a big show for you today. It's playoff time in Tennessee. We'll be previewing the Tennessee-Ohio State game. We'll be talking about last night's Tennessee versus Illinois basketball game for just a bit. We'll also be giving away 2 tickets to Columbus for the Vols versus the Buckeyes. Pretty good seats. We'll give you a chance to play along. And all you're going to have to do is follow our hints. The first person to figure out the answer and to email me at an email we'll give you, obviously, you're going to get 2 free tickets to Tennessee at Ohio State. Let's just get right into it. We got a lot to cover today. Let's do it. First segment of our show brought to you by the Garza Law Firm. And when it comes to the season of giving, no one gives back to the community like the Garza Law Firm and Fish Hospitality Pantries. Pay attention to their spots today, those for Garza Law, to see how you can take part in what they're doing with fish pantries, and visit fishpantries.org to learn more. Marcos Garza and the Garza Law Firm thank you and wish you a very Merry Christmas this season. All right, let's welcome in the members of our show today, and I will go ahead and tell our floor master that the monitor is off over here. Jimmy Himes right here. Vince Ferrara right here, although it's the holiday season, so it's Ferrara. Vince Ferrara. Paige Dower right here, thank you, and Bob Hodge right there.
He's also off today, so there you go.
Yeah, that's right, he's off today, so we got more people rotating through. But if you think I usually squint looking at the monitor over there, today's going to be real challenging if that monitor is not on. All right, want to knock out some business right off the top. Let's take a look at the college football playoff bracket. There you go, Tennessee and Ohio State, of course, you know this. Winner plays Oregon at the Rose Bowl. You win that, you're probably going to play Texas, Clemson, or Arizona State, but probably Texas. Get through that, you get the picture. That's a tough road. That's a tough road to a championship. I think Tennessee fans should be happy just to be in the mix, and it would be great to win one at Ohio State. Obviously, you want to win it all, but let's start with Ohio State. And let's take a look at what they did on the season. There you go. And for those of you wondering, if you're going up to Columbus, it's Brutus the Buckeye that you see there. That silly little Buckeye running head. It's Brutus is his name. But Ohio State was a team that was ranked in the top 3 basically all season. They gave Oregon their best game of the year, losing by 1 at Eugene. Then they go the rest of the way through, and they get down to the final game and choke for the 4th consecutive year against Michigan, which has landed Ryan Day in some hot water. We'll talk about that as we go through it. But looking at it, this has been a loaded team. You're going on the road where you've had questionable track record. Bob Hodge, your thoughts. Just get us started here. Tennessee heading to Ohio State and Columbus next weekend.
If you combine a little bit about what you just said, Tennessee going on the road where you've had your struggles, with the fact that I think if you look at Ohio State's roster and if you look at what they got as far as star players, I think this is the most talented team looking at all conference and where the guys are going to go in the draft. I think this is the most talented team you've played all year as far as those metrics are concerned. And so I think when you look at just the physical ability that they have, Tennessee is going to have a problem on both sides of the ball, but if you also look at what Michigan did, if you also looked at Ohio State, kind of like Tennessee struggled in some other games. It wasn't all just go out there and walk over people. So I look at it as if you're looking at the roster, Ohio State's better. But it just doesn't come down to the roster because Ohio State was better than Michigan, too.
Yeah, well, $20 million roster should get you that.
Yeah.
We've seen what they've been able to do this season, and I think when you look at this matchup, you've heard a lot about what Tennessee secondary will do against OSU's wide receivers, especially out wide. But I honestly think it's probably going to be that second level of defense with the linebackers, because I don't think this is going to be a game where we see a bunch of 75-yard bombs. I think it's going to be those 15 to 20-yard opportunities, which gets to your linebackers, gets to your star position with Boot Carter, and I think what they can do at that second level of defense will play a big role in how this game goes.
And Tennessee's had trouble at that level since Keenan Peeling went down. In terms of stopping the run, they've had a lot more looks thrown at them, a little bit more motion, and they've had a hard time dealing with it. Vince and Jimmy, your thoughts on this game?
Boy, this is a game you could really use Keenan Peely, right? I mean, with not only handling the run game of Ohio State with those two outstanding backs, but handling the moment too. That's a calming presence. And you saw as more time went on that Tennessee did show that they could really use Keenan Peely. So this is a lot between the ears to me. The physical talent standpoint is there, but it's between the ears. What's Ohio State's mindset, mentality, focus coming off of that loss to Michigan? What's Tennessee's handling that moment?
Well, Ohio State didn't handle it all that well after they lost to Oregon, right, against Nebraska. Nebraska wasn't that good. I think Will Howard's a big key to this game. They brought him in. It's interesting to me that, and he's been up and down. He's had some really good games, been very productive. He's had some games where he had difficulty with his accuracy. But if you look at the guy that left, Kyle McCord, he completed more passes this year at Syracuse than Will Howard attempted at Ohio State. Now, another factor is, what's Ohio State's game plan going to be? If they roll out the game plan they had against Michigan, I love Tennessee's chances. Just run it up the middle 48 times. So I think that's going to be a key. But I think the play of Will Howard's going to be a key in this one, too.
I can tell you that Ohio State, having lived up there, I still have a lot of friends that are Ohio State fans. It's funny. I like them. I root against Ohio State like they're the Taliban, though. But they were so freaked out by that game plan. And apparently there was a team meeting up there after the game that was like, why in the world were we doing this? And Ryan Day's attitude was we were going to establish our machismo and go out there and run it into the heart of Michigan's defense. And all it did was get him burned. Let's talk about the fact that this is a road game, a big road game. Heupel has had some success on the road. It's not like he hasn't won any road games. You went to Oklahoma this year and won, which Alabama can't say that. At the same time, we know that there are usually one or two teams a year, Arkansas, Georgia this year, South Carolina in the past, Missouri, Florida. Some big games, it doesn't look good. Crowd gets to them. But that's often been a tempo-related thing, and they haven't run tempo. So where are you on the fact that road games are trouble, typically,
you got
for
off
Josh
to
Heupel?
such a great start at Georgia. I mean, the best start you've had, not counting the Kent States and Chattanoogas in the garbage part of the schedule. You got off to such a great start at Georgia, and then just totally, it went away. The difference here may be what you're talking about, the attitude that they have up in Ohio State right now. If Tennessee could get off to that kind of a start in the first quarter, you get up 10-0 or 14-0, I think it could be bigger than it was at Georgia. I think Georgia sits back and has a kind of confidence. Oh, we're going to beat
not going to
Tennessee.
panic. You're right.
I don't know if Ohio State would have that kind of confidence if you can jump on them like you did when you were down in Athens.
And if their fans are selling tickets, are their fans going to be really? How are they going to react? Can you take them out of the game with a fast start?
And I like what you're saying about the fast start, because when you look at the SEC games this season, Nico's averaging about 200 passing yards per game. The two times where he was more than like 50 yards off of that was Georgia and Arkansas, a pair of losses for Tennessee. So I think if Nico can get to like 175 yards, closer to 200, I think that will prove to be a good game for Nico. I don't think we need him to play great. If he can just play good and at least keep the defense honest so Dylan Sampson can have the game we're hoping he has, I think that's where you end up getting that fast start and where you can build momentum the rest of the way.
Gentlemen, close us out.
Well, Kirk Herbstreit said that they would boo the team if they went 3 and out on the first possession. If they fall behind, I agree completely with Bob's point. If Tennessee jumps out to 10-0, 14-0 lead, I think there's a pretty good chance the fans would turn against the team, start booing them. And then if you're getting booed in your home stadium, what's your reaction going to be if you're the player? So I do think a fast start for Tennessee is a key.
Yeah, there's not a proven championship culture and mindset at Ohio State to handle the moment, like Bob said, like Georgia did when they fell behind Tennessee.
Let me show you one last thing. Bob started in this direction. I'm not trying to scare anybody. I just want to lay out what the reality of the challenge here is. 24/7 Sports, every year they do a team talent ranking, and that means they go back and they look at the actual roster start of the season, and then they put your 5 stars and your 4 stars and your 3 stars together. So it's not just based on the signing class. It's based on who's come in via transfers and everything else. Now, there have been transfers this week that we'll talk about. There have been injuries this season. Ohio State's lost a couple of guys off their offensive line. But still, just to give you an idea of talent between Tennessee and Ohio State, this is what 24/7 had going into the season this year. Ohio State with 60. Oh, I've flipped that. It would help if I did this right. 5 stars.
It's
There
okay.
you go. 5 stars, 4 stars, 3 stars. Look at the number of blue chip 4 and 5 stars there. You're okay, but you've got as many 3 stars as you do blue chips. That's insane. So just, you are the underdog. You're on the road. You are a clear underdog. They have the talent, but as Bob also pointed out early, they had a talent advantage over Michigan as well, and that didn't mean much. All right, when we come back, could one team's mindset be the key to this game, or a key to the game? Plus, let's give you a chance to win 2 tickets to Tennessee at Ohio State. We'll start that next. Come on back. Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by A.G. Hines Company. Whether it's Nudura concrete forms, exterior insulation finish systems, or manufactured stone, you will not find more ways to build at better speeds with stronger results than you will at A.G. Hines Company. 100 plus years of history with cutting-edge materials for the future. A.G. Hines Company. All right, let's welcome in the next member of today's panel. We still have a couple more to come right here. Tyler Ivins, thank you for joining us, sir.
Appreciate it, John.
All right, we don't have a poll today. Instead, it's a contest. And let me go ahead and show you what you're playing for if you want to choose to take part. On the left is a map of where the seat is. There's a little orange line under section 20B. As you can see, that's the Tennessee sideline. That is also under the cover at the horseshoe, and it is about the 45-yard line, based on what I can tell. So, now I haven't been to a game there in about 20 years, so I will warn you, however, in this stadium, it was built in the 1920s, and like old parks, there are some obstructed views in this stadium, so if you get free tickets, don't then whine or go to Twitter to say, it's got a broken view. So I'm giving you the shots right there to begin with. There's what you'll be playing for. Section 20B, row 12, seats 29 and 30. Good seats. Now, here's how you win it. Let's go ahead and put up hint number 1. Be the first person to send the correct first and last name of our mystery VFL to sportsourcecontest@gmail.com. And we're going to have that up all day on the lower thirds, sportsourcecontest@gmail.com. As soon as you figure it out, it may be hint 1, hint 2, or later in the show, we're going to give away the answer. So if nobody's gotten it, first person to email me with the right answer, you're going to get the tickets. Hint number 1, this Ohio-born, get it? We're playing Ohio State. So there's a trick here. This Ohio-born Vol played in Tennessee's first ever game against an original Big Ten school. So if you're looking at USC or Maryland, no. Original Big Ten schools, Tennessee's first ever game against a Big Ten school. This guy played in it. Okay, as we mentioned earlier, Ohio State dropped their final game of the season to Michigan for the 4th straight year. How has that impacted them in past years? Take a look. They're 3-6 following their last 10 losses to Michigan. They didn't play in 1999. I happened to be up there. That's when they fired Powell, Tennessee's own John Cooper for losing to Michigan. They said, we're not going to a bowl, we're just firing John Cooper. 3-6 since losing, or whenever they lose to Michigan, and that includes the 1996 Citrus Bowl when they lost to Tennessee, when they stopped Eddie George on the goal line stand down there. So my question for you guys, Tyler, I'll start with you since you're new to the panel here. Is Ohio State's mindset a key, the key? Does it have no impact at all? Where are you on that?
The key.
The key.
The key. You guys kind of wrapped it up there in your first segment. I think based on what Bob, what Jimmy laid out, I think it has everything. Not only is it the mindset for this team, Will Howard's mindset in this game as well. I think that this is, I don't think this is hyperbole. And I mentioned this on the radio earlier this week, and maybe you guys can start throwing stones at me. I think if they lose that game against Michigan, check. If they start off slow against Tennessee in the shoe coming up 6 days from now, I think there's a chance Ryan Day's handed his walking papers. They lose this game on Sunday or on Saturday of this week. That's what. Come on, he's got a $30-something-odd million buyout. It's about Michigan, and it's about winning that Big Ten championships, and it's about winning the national championship. You already brought up how much they make when it comes to their NIL. They're the most expensive team in college sports. What are you even doing if you can't compete with your rival? If you're not already playing in what was supposed to be the rematch that everybody was anticipating in Indianapolis, you didn't make in the Big Ten title game, and now you're one and done in the college football playoffs? I don't think that's crazy that Ryan Day is going to be looking for a new job after next week.
Well, their AD said that regardless of what happens, they're keeping him through 2025. Do you think he's bluffing? I mean, his buyout's $38 million.
I think, having lived up there, I think he better be careful with that kind of talk or they'll throw him out too. Seriously. I will say this. I have grown up a Tennessee guy. There is no rivalry on Tennessee's schedule, football or basketball, that comes anywhere near the hate and the angst that goes with Ohio State, Michigan. It is bizarre. It is like none other. Literally, if you are 11-0 but you lose to that other one, that is a failure of a season. Tennessee has lost to Florida. They've lost to Alabama. You get up off the deck. You do that.
They did it to Earl Bruce.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't let him coach the last game of the season after losing to Michigan. And then you keep Urban Meyer, despite all of the crazy things that are happening, because he was beating Michigan.
Yeah, and I think that
you better win this game.
Harbaugh was very lucky to survive at Michigan as long as he did, because he kept losing to Ohio State.
Yep.
All right, are we overplaying this very quickly? Is this a key, or do you think it's overblown?
I don't think it's the key, but I think it has a factor. I mean, once again, you're going against a talented team, but you're going against a talented team that maybe their psyche could get kicked in the head a little bit.
Yeah, two quick things. Apparently, they have 35% of all tickets Tennessee does, so you could have like 15,000, 20,000 ball fans in the stadium, and the CFP controls the music. So I think Tennessee also will get a hype video entering the game, which is insane.
They control the music.
Yeah.
That's an interesting deal. Okay. So that would have taken Sterling out of the mix down here.
There's another way to look at it, and I don't know that this is going to happen. The players understand what's going on, right? So how much do they respect their head coach? Are they going to lay it on the line and play for Ryan Day? Pretty good chance they will. Or are they going to look at that game plan against Michigan and say, what was this joker doing? I think their feelings toward their head coach could go a long way in this one.
We've all seen this here, based on what Ohio State people are saying came out of their players only meeting, and how would they know? This could be anyone just going to a message board and everyone saying, they hate their coach. It did not sound like Ryan Day gave the right answers to the team about why. He said he wouldn't change what we did against Michigan, and that did not go over well. Supposedly, again, could be complete nonsense, but there's a little rumor mill for you from Columbus, Ohio. All right, when we come back, when Ohio State has the ball, who's got the advantage, the Buckeye offense or the Vol defense? And hint number 2 in our contest giveaway. Come on back. Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by River Cove Campground, Uncle Jim's River Cove Campground. If you're looking to do some RV camping around the holidays or just after the holidays, don't pull up in front of Clark Griswold's place. Head to Uncle Jim's River Cove Campground. As nice a location with as many amenities as you'll find anywhere in the United States. Right on the Little Pigeon River, and you know all of the activities that go on right around there within 10 minutes of everything. Visit rivercovecampground.com to learn much, much more. Okay, we're giving away tickets to Tennessee at Ohio State. I bought them. I wanted to go. They put the thing on Saturday night. I'm stuck here. Instead of selling them like a smart man, giving them to you. So let's put up hint number 2, all right? Once again, be the first person to send the correct first and last name of our mystery VFL to sportsourcecontest@gmail.com. Hint number 2, this Ohio-born Vol once caught 11 passes in a Tennessee bowl game victory. And a little side note, Jimmy Himes, it happens to be the bowl game you mentioned earlier today. So let's hold on to that, but giving you a little extra hint. All right, we'll see who on the panel gets that one. Next, let's take a look at how Ohio State has done in postseason games against SEC teams. Not well. 1-14. Now, the one win was against Alabama in a national semifinal. And, you know, the exception of the Michigan thing, they lost to Michigan a couple of years ago. They wound up losing to Georgia, but they lost on a 50-yard field goal, 42-41 in one heck of a playoff game. So you never know what you're going to get in those things. But Ohio State's history doesn't bode well if you look at them against SEC teams. Of course, they've never had an SEC team come to Columbus to play in December in the postseason. But let's take a look at Ohio State's offense and Tennessee's defense. We'll leave that up there for a second as we start this conversation. Gentlemen, Vince, I'll start with you. Buckeye offense or volunteer defense when Ohio State has the ball, who's got the advantage?
I would say, depends on the levels, but I'm not going to cavalierize the question. I will say Tennessee's defense because of the inconsistency at quarterback. I think some of the injuries and fluctuation on the offensive line for Ohio State gives Tennessee an advantage on the front seven. The weapons outside for Ohio State, the running backs, the talent, there's no doubt about it. But we've seen Tennessee secondary do a great job, especially at corners, really defend. And if you look at Ohio State not being able to really fully take advantage of the talent they have, I would give Tennessee's defense a slight edge overall in how they would play in this game, not the talent, because the talent certainly favors Ohio State.
I'm leaning toward Ohio State's offense. Tennessee's not faced a trio of receivers this good.
Mm-hmm.
They've got a really good 1-2 punch at running back, too. Those guys are outstanding. I'm surprised their numbers aren't better than they are.
Mm-hmm.
And Will Howard is mobile. He can be inconsistent throwing it, but Tennessee's had some trouble with mobile quarterbacks. A lot of teams do. Mm. But when you add all that up, and I know that the center's out and they got another offensive lineman out, I think Ohio State's offense, if they don't sit there and try to run up the middle the whole game, I think their offense, I give them a little bit of an advantage over Tennessee's defense.
And I hate to keep going back to the Georgia game, but that was the best team Tennessee played this year, and your pass rush was non-existent. And Georgia, whose running game had been non-existent up to that point, was able to run the ball against you. So if you take what did Tennessee do in its best game, I think you got to give the advantage to Ohio State simply because of all the pieces that they do have.
If you look at that Georgia game, it's funny. You had them to 24 points midway through the fourth quarter, and then they go on that drive that ices it, and they put up 31. If you'd had much offense of your own that day,
yeah.
If you go into Georgia and you just give up 24 points, even though they didn't have a pass rush, even though the run defense wasn't as good as usual, just look at the points on the board. If you go in there and just give up 24 points, you've had a pretty good day. Now, they didn't do that, but I think part of that was their offense letting them down. What's a good day for this defense? What do they have to do going to Columbus? If you hold Ohio State to 24 points, you feel pretty good.
After saying what I said, I think Tennessee probably will hold them to something in around 24 points. I really do. But okay. I just think I give Ohio State's offense a little bit of an advantage just simply because of what Tennessee did against the best team that you played.
John, kind of to your point, it's not just the total amount of points, is when those happen. Georgia had Tennessee been able to hit a deep shot and they're not bossing the game after they had taken the lead, then it changes the way you play. It changes the way Georgia calls play. So to your point, you hit a shot or two deep on offense, then the other team is forced to get out of character or maybe what they do best.
And Tennessee's offense was pretty good the first half against Georgia, right? 17 points. Second half, that's right. And so that was what they were undoing was.
What's Tennessee? What do you if you're a Tennessee fan, what are you looking at it saying our defense has to hold Ohio State to what?
Points wise?
Yeah.
20.
Okay, 20.
That was the number that came in mind for me, is 20.
Okay.
Yeah.
20, you're around 24.
I'm going to hang. I think what do they have to hold them to?
Yeah.
For Tennessee
to feel good for Tennessee to win.
I think probably under 20.
Under 20.
High teens, 20, right around in there.
All right, very good. When we come back, who has the advantage when we flip it? Tennessee's got the ball. Ohio State's on defense. Come on back, we'll tell you. Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Southeast Termite and Pest Control. 50 years of experience covering East Tennessee, and now the largest locally owned pest control company in the region. The Haynes family is serious about protecting your family, your home, your office. Use the pest control company that I believe in, Southeast Termite and Pest Control. All right, let's take a look here at quick numbers. This is Tennessee's all-time record against Big Ten members at the time of the game. We keep doing that in the postseason. These are not, so you can't go back and say, well, against Maryland. Nope, Maryland wasn't in the Big Ten when you played them. But all-time, Tennessee 12-5 in postseason games against the Big Ten, against Big Ten teams at the time. 1-0, of course, against Ohio State, going back to that January 1st Citrus Bowl in the rain in Orlando in '96. Now, when Tennessee has the football, there you go. that shows you numbers. You can do your own comparisons. Tennessee has the ball. Ohio State's on defense. I'm going to start over here. Let's see. Who started last? Jimmy, I'll start with you. Who's got the advantage? Ohio State's defense, Tennessee's offense.
I'm going to give a slight advantage to Ohio State's defense. Statistically, they're number one in the nation in points allowed per game. I think in total yards per game. They give up less than 100 yards rushing per game. I think they're sound everywhere. I don't think there's a weakness on their defense, and I don't think defense is the reason they lost to Michigan. So it's a slight edge. Now, I'm a little concerned about Tennessee at wide receiver because they're banged up and they got 3 guys in the portal. I'm a little bit concerned about the offensive line, the tackles in particular, being able to hold up against Ohio State's defensive line. So I'm going to go a slight edge to Ohio State.
Last time we saw these guys, Dylan Sampson was literally limping off. Brew McCoy was out for that game at Vanderbilt. Dante Thornton, who's been hurt off and on all year, left the game with an injury. You were playing Chaz Nimrod, got in the game. Now Nimrod's in the portal, as you mentioned. He's gone. Caleb Webb's gone. You were giving Mike Matthews some more opportunities. If your guys aren't 100%, you're going to be playing some guys that are deeper down the depth chart. Bob, I would think if you look at this, there's one positive, I would say, going into this, and that is you could make a case Nico's best game, considering the competition, was on the road at Georgia. Now, he wasn't lights out by any means, but he showed me when a lot of the other guys on his team didn't show up, he was ready for it. He didn't turn into a puddle. He was fine, yeah. So I think if you're looking for a positive, you look at the fact that, okay, Nico may be big enough for this stage, but they've been so inconsistent as an offense, it makes you worry.
What you're hoping is that the first half at Georgia, and then you were very consistent against Vanderbilt, and I'm not a person selling Vanderbilt short. That was a pretty decent Vanderbilt team, and you looked probably your best offensive game of the season against a quality opponent. But I'm afraid I got to go a little bit more than a little advantage to Ohio State's defense. I think it's a little bit bigger. Because if you look, and once again I said it earlier, if you look at the accolades they've gotten, what the NFL thinks of these guys, I think it probably, once again, the best unit that you faced, and they're number one in the country, so the stats back that up. And I just wonder if Tennessee's offense could get a little overwhelmed because of as good as their defensive line is against your offensive line, which has gotten better, but is still not stellar.
That's
Yeah, I would kind of lean towards Bob in terms of the gap there. They are so good on every
so
level.
Negative.
Hey, I'm the one that said Tennessee's favor in the last segment. But I do think that there's NFL guys. You mentioned how good they are at every level. There's NFL guys at every level as well. And even though Tennessee's offensive tackles have improved as the year has gone on, and that I think has helped Nico kind of settle in, I think this is a different level, different beast in this game. You can't put that Michigan game on the defense. The Tennessee run game against the run defense, Ohio State is going to be huge. But I think different challenges, especially for those wide receivers and the offensive tackles.
You guys tell me if you disagree with this statement. I think if Tennessee's going to win this football game and take out the Kent States and Chattanooga and the garbage.
Hot.
Yeah, the hot garbage, the trash.
Yeah.
Take out the nonsense games. I think this has to be Tennessee's best performance of the year on offense to win this game.
Yep.
I don't think you can be close. I think you have to. You can't have your 25 penalties. You can't have 15 turnovers. You got to have Dylan Sampson hitting it from first quarter through the fourth quarter. I think it's got to be your best day.
And to the point about Nico, and I do think he has played really well in some recent games. He's got to get help from the receivers too now.
Yes.
They can't go out there and drop passes. I saw where Georgia led the nation in drop passes. Tennessee had to be close. So they have got to help him as well.
All right. Real good. When we come back, Mark Pankratz joins us. We're going to talk a little Tennessee basketball with their big win at Illinois last night. We'll talk about that. We're going to give away, we got more hints coming for the ticket giveaway. We're going to get back to football. We got a lot more to come. Come on back on the Sports Source. Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Madisonville Marine. They have a large selection of new product that is already in their building. But one reminder, you got to get down there quickly. I love this about Madisonville Marine. Every year, they close the doors from December 24th through January 6th so their whole team can be with their families over the holidays, which I think is really cool. I think we'd all like to work for people like that. Madisonville Marine. So get down there before the 24th and be prepared to go in after the 6th to see all the new product they've got. And it's a place where there's no better place to buy a boat, Madisonville Marine. All right, let's welcome in the next member of our panel right here, Mark Pankratz. We got football encroaching into your basketball season.
It's all right.
I appreciate
I'm all
you.
in. I'm ready.
It's still a bracket. A bracket's a
right.
bracket.
That's right.
I appreciate you coming in and putting up with us. We got another contest hint, so let's do this. Let's do the contest hint number 3. Again, be the first person to send the correct first and last name of our mystery VFL to sportsourcecontest@gmail.com. All right, hint number 3. This Ohio-born Vol led Tennessee in receptions for 3 consecutive seasons. So that's led them in receptions for 3 consecutive seasons. That's caught 11 games in a Tennessee Bowl win. That is also played in Tennessee's first ever game against a Big Ten member institution. We got one more hint to give away. Then we'll give you the answer. Then I'm going to go back and check and see who sent me the right answer first. You can win 2 tickets to the Tennessee-Ohio State game. All right, Mark. Tennessee goes on the road at Illinois. They're already off to the best start in school history, 9-0. They're ranked number 1 in the country. They didn't play great against Miami at Madison Square Garden, but they still won big. They go to Illinois. It's college basketball. That's one of those games where, you can see a number 1 team get knocked off. That's a tough environment. You didn't play great, but you had people step up and you had some great defense. Tell us about the Vols win at Illinois.
Well, going into the game with the number 1 ranking in the country, I didn't think we were number 1 in the country. I think we've got some talented guys, but you go on the road and the guys don't play well, top guys out, foul trouble, but you have 6 turnovers on the road. You hold the team to minimal offensive rebounds. You get a bunch of offensive rebounds. Your defense carries. That's the type of game that wins in the NCAA tournament. There's going to be times where we don't make shots, guys get in foul trouble, offense doesn't carry, but that defense, that culture, that's number 1 in the country right there. That there's not been many wins that we've seen in the program the last handful of years that I've been as fired up about the statement that program made.
Same way.
That was a big time win in a tough environment with a lot of things going against you.
And the guy you had step up, Jordan Gainey, and he didn't just step up for part of that game. He stepped up at the start and went all the way through, right down to the final horn. Talk to me about Jordan Gainey's performance last night.
Deservedly so. Made big shots. He makes the game winner, so he gets all the publication. But, Igor rebounding. You got Stone, who made big shots down the stretch, had a big block. Even Boswell comes in and makes a big-time play. So many guys stepped up in that game to be able to win that one. Gainey obviously made big shots. Didn't turn the ball over when we talked all year about who's the backup point guard. He didn't have 1 turnover, but a lot of guys stepped up down the stretch.
Paige Tyler, your thoughts on Tennessee's win last night at Illinois?
Well, for one, I wasn't expecting it to be this close, trailing, tying, and what it looked like at halftime. But what happened in the final 6 or so minutes of the game, I think really taught us a lot about this team, right? You only had about 5 points that weren't free throws in the final 6 minutes with Igor Milicic and Jordan Gainey before his layup to walk it off against Illinois. And I really like what I saw from Jordan Gainey, and I think Kate Phillips said it perfectly, that he's the best 6th man in the country. Anywhere else, he's a part of the starting 5. And he's like, you had to think as an opposing team, it hurts your heart when you see Jordan Gainey come into the game.
He's the guy.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think everything he's done this season, he deserved that moment, and I think it just shows you the toughness of this team. And the lineup they had in the second half is something you probably wouldn't have expected coming into the game, and I just think that shows you the talent they have on the team.
3 things I took away. The first one was a massive one. We keep talking about how they only have 9 scholarship athletes right now. If there was ever a tight whistle in a game, I thought Tennessee was doomed. And you had Illinois in the bonus with 10 minutes to go in the second half, and you found a way to survive that game. You don't see Zakai get dinged so quickly where he's sitting the bench. If often do you ever see that man foul out. This isn't a testament to the officials, but Tennessee found a way to battle and win in a tough environment. Second half, how many times they turn over the basketball, Tennessee? 0 times in the second half. And on top of all this, you also found out what Igor Milicic's best part of his game is. He led the country last year. Not only did he lead Conference USA, top 3 in all of college basketball in offensive rebounds per game. He either eliminates second chance points or gives you an opportunity for second chance points. And a hostile environment, you took care of the basketball, you survived the fouls, and you had a guy keep you in the game and from a transfer portal baby that you grabbed in Igor. Check, check, check. I thought Tennessee found a way to survive as the number 1 team.
Mark, I'm a huge fan of Igor Milicic. I was Madison Square Garden earlier this week for that game, and a buddy there with me. It was like, man, Chaz Linear's fantastic. I said, yeah, he is. He's a great scorer. But this Milicic guy, he can pop it from outside.
Yes.
He can rebound. He's also got great vision. I mean, as a passer, he sees some things out there like a point guard. You can tell he is a coach's kid that grew up in a gymnasium his whole life. Talk about Igor Milicic and what he's brought to this team, because Lanier, as the scorer, gets all of the praise, and rightfully so. He gets a lot of great accolades. But Milicic does so many different things. Yep. He's so versatile, he makes you much more dangerous as a team.
We're already a great defensive team, but then you add his ability in there to switch ball screens. Even Stone, I mean, his ability to get out there and switch ball screens. And then if they do get mismatched, they can keep a guy in front. They can compete on the inside. He missed a bunch of open shots last night, but he finds ways to impact the game in other areas. He is a huge difference maker this team.
And we've talked about this with you many times. Somebody's not hitting their shots, their offense goes south. What normally goes with it? The defense. Mm-hmm. That's kind of a Rick Barnes thing. They don't see that a lot at Tennessee. Typically, their offense goes bad. He's still on them. They still get their defense. Held Illinois to 29% from the field last night. I think, 17% from three? Now, part of that, you know me, part of that's just you're cold on the wrong night. Mm-hmm. But the way Tennessee forced some turnovers down the stretch when they needed them, I just thought it was an all-around win. And I'm like you. I thought, to me, that's their most impressive win so far this season.
And real quick, the other thing that I continue to be surprised about is Barnes' willingness to adapt. You saw that Gainey was his scoring punch, and what did he do? He started running Gainey off of pin downs, off of screening action, moving him around, which is different than if he's running his normal offense. Years past, people have always talked about Barnes' unwillingness to adapt, especially on the offensive end. He continues to do that with Gainey, with Igor, and the guys that are playing for him.
The last 2 years, the difference between that team 3 years ago and what we've seen the last 2 years is night and day. Somebody texted me this morning and was talking about Rick Barnes. They said, okay, I've come around. He is now your best coach ever. This guy was a Ray Mears fan, and he finally caved and said, it's Barnes. Because of the fact that he's adapted his team. And not only that, I keep going back to the fact at his age, it's him and Tom Izzo. Everybody else is walking away. We don't need the NIL crap. I don't need the portal crap. I'm too old to be reworking my roster every year. And Rick Barnes just goes on and on and on.
And then
Belichick, incredibly impressive.
And then Belichick said, "Hold my beer. I'm going to get back into it somehow."
I bet he doesn't have the success Rick Barnes has had.
I want to make this statement again because, again, we always view college basketball teams' success based on how far they go in March. Even if Tennessee basketball this year doesn't get back to the Elite Eight, it needs to be known, and I think the proof will be in the pudding at the end of the season. This will be Rick Barnes' best rostered team put together. I'm telling you, when it's all said and done. Let me put it like this. Dalton Knecht is the best scorer he's probably had. Chaz Lanier will be the best basketball player that he's had, if that makes any sense. I don't like the comparisons already because, he's your big guy that's someone having to replace your scoring. But from what they were able to do from Okpara, from Stone, to what they're able to do with Milicic and as well as Chaz Lanier, this team will be a complete team. And I know last year I was flirting with Final Four. Again, I don't see them there because I don't think, as you already put, John, they are the best team in college basketball, or what you've made a comment this morning, Mark. But Tennessee, from a complete start to finish, this will be Rick's best team. You wait and see.
All right, I do want to throw out one other note here. The Lady Vols yesterday, 139 points with an NCAA record for three-pointers. Tremendous start for Kim Caldwell. And just like we said on this show before they hired her, we threw out names of people to watch for. Threw out her name because she plays that wild, up-tempo, run-and-gun system, and Danny White, that is the mark. If you want to find who he hires people with their own system that sells tickets, and also it's kind of a money ball thing. I don't just have to out-recruit you. And it looks like Kim Caldwell is going to be yet another hit on Danny White's resume of finding good coaches. All right, when we come back, Mark's going to stick with us. We got another hint to give away. The contest is drawing to a close, folks, if you want those tickets to Columbus. So come on back, and we're going to talk about the SEC race. Where does Tennessee rank among the contenders in the league? I may rank them higher after last night. Come on back. Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Daniel Hood Roofing. It's almost Christmas. You need your roof to be in good shape for rain, snow, wind, Santa and the reindeer. They put some kind of stress on a roof, I tell you that. Call Daniel Hood Roofing this week to get a free roof inspection. Zero commitment. DanielHoodRoofing.com. Read all the testimonials from East Tennesseans like yourself who have trusted Daniel to take care of their homes. All right, we got one final hint to give you for our contest. Go ahead and put it up there again. Be the first person to send me the correct first and last name of our mystery VFL to sportsourcecontest@gmail.com. Hint 4 of 4. This Ohio-born Vol was a first-round draft pick of the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, that one's going to give it away. I just checked email-wise, and, man, there's a lot of you playing, and I thank you. All right, we will give those 2 tickets away coming up. Let's talk about Tennessee basketball again. Mark Pankratz here, Vince Ferrara, Jimmy Himes, Tyler Ivins right there. Quick take. We're going to try and catch up here. So very quickly, Mark, where is Tennessee in terms of, if you're having to rank the SEC, who's ahead of them right now? In terms of winning the SEC title this year, who's ahead of them?
It's a pain point here in Knoxville, but I think Auburn has got the better roster. I think that their big guy inside, Broom, is a difference maker, probably National Player of the Year right now. Had 20 rebounds last night. They're just a really, really, really good player.
Well, they went to Ohio State and won by 39 points.
Yeah, I think there was some
history
there from the past. But that would be the front runner for me of Auburn is above where Tennessee's at.
Anybody else or just Auburn?
I mean, look, if I had to take Tennessee or the field to win the SEC, I'm taking the field. I just think you've got 11 of the top 50 in strength of schedule all in the SEC. I mean, it's a loaded conference. Florida's playing above where I think people thought. But I think Kentucky's going to keep getting better, and Arkansas. We talked about that in the break. I think those 2 teams, they've reconstructed their entire roster, and as that talent continues to gel, I think both of them could be up there.
Arkansas played Michigan right after the Tennessee-Miami game there at Madison Square Garden. There was a good fan travel, good group of Tennessee fans there. But let me tell you, the Woo Pig Suey crowd, they took over the Garden. It was loud. They took it over, and that could be a dangerous team. Jonas Adu, 11 points, 7 boards. He looked exactly like Jonas Adu used to look here. He hit right on his averages from last year. But I will leave you with this. Arkansas fans, they had an honest T-shirt at least. Everybody was wearing T-shirts that said, "I love John Calipari," parentheses, now. Thought that was classic. Who you putting above Tennessee in the SEC title race, if anybody?
With the 2 teams we've already brought up, Auburn and I think Arkansas right now is a peg ahead of Tennessee. Just one. I think that Boogie Flan, fantastic addition. I think Brazell and some of the other guys that they have at Arkansas, they can absolutely. It's Arkansas of old when Musbus was there, except they've got Calipari now, who's a better X's and O's coaches, in my opinion. Auburn, to me, is the best team in college basketball. Their only loss this year, they got shoved around by Duke, and what I thought was an instant classic game. I think Auburn bounced back this year. I think the SEC, don't sleep on Trey Johnson down in Austin, but I don't think Texas has the horses. Tennessee's third right now when it comes to the pecking order. I would go Auburn, Arkansas to the Pulse.
Jimmy?
I'd go Auburn also. I'm also curious about how good is Florida. They haven't lost yet. I don't know. I tell you, your league is good when you're at the SEC football championship game and the commissioner of your league points out that in basketball you beat the ACC 14-2. So he brings that up during a football situation. You know you're pretty good.
It's been a while, and that was what the league was hoping for a few years ago when they started this push to bring in better coaches around to invest more, to play better schedules. Vince, who you got ahead of Tennessee?
Yeah, I think it's only Auburn. Broom mentioned that, but they have the best resume right now in addition to having the best player in Broom. So, teams like Texas A&M and a few others have really good wins in the SEC that maybe are playing above what people might have expected, but I think Auburn has got the best case.
I think the other 2 that we did not mention is Alabama with Nate Oates. I question, can he keep the culture of the NIL world strong?
Right.
And then Texas A&M. I mean, Buzz Williams is a heck of a coach. He's getting more and more talent. They've got an elite point guard. Those are other 2 sleepers. They're not quite on that level. I'd put them above Florida. But those would be 2 others. Alabama was top 3 in the country preseason. They got a lot of talent.
Is this Tennessee team better than you thought it would be at this point, or is this where you thought they'd be?
Better.
Yeah.
Better. I mean, it's hard to get on the portal to hit that well. I mean, they were highly ranked guys, but to bring that much talent together, it's tough.
Well, and we said that after last year. It's like, okay, you got Connect. What are the odds? Because it's it is a crapshoot when you go into the portal and you have to bring in that many guys. What are the odds of them doing it again? And as you say, he's done it again and again and again. So impressive by Rick Barnes.
One thing I did like, if you took the 4 that Tennessee lost in the portal versus the 4 you got,
Better
I was
roster.
taking the 4 you got.
Yeah.
And all 4 of those we lost were SEC all-conference players before, right? Adu was, Josiah Jordan-James was, Vescovy was, Connect, Player of the Year.
He's talking about the guys that transferred out.
The guys
like DJ Jefferson and those guys.
Right, but I'm talking about guys that left last year's roster.
Replacements.
You had 4 all-SEC in previous years that graduated or left, and here you are, number 1 team in the country.
With your best start ever.
Yeah.
Are we making a mistake not bringing Kentucky up at all?
No, because we got to catch a break. All right. All right, Mark, thanks, buddy. Appreciate you coming in.
Yep.
And let's get back to football. We're going to give you the answer next. Then we're going to go digging to see who the winner is. Tickets to give away, but I want to talk about the coaching matchup next. Who has the coaching advantage? Josh Heupel or that guy who's in trouble up north, Ryan Day? Come on back. Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Safety Systems. When it comes to protecting homes and businesses across East Tennessee, nobody does it better than Safety Systems. This is their 25th Christmas and their 25th year. That tells you how many people trust them for security systems and home automation. All right, let's welcome in the next member of our panel, Sterl the Pearl. Paige just brought up that the NCAA or the college football playoff is going to be controlling the music at these playoff games.
Yeah, they are.
So who cares if you're on the road? If you were at home and you didn't have the Sterling advantage, what difference would it make?
From what I was hearing, they were going to let the home teams in the first round do their thing.
That's what I thought, yeah.
They may have changed it, but
Okay.
I don't care. We're going to win anyway. Let's go.
All right, now here's the deal. We've invited you to send me your guesses as to all the hints we've been given. Now I'm going to give you the answer. Now I've already seen we got a winner. But let's go ahead and give you the answer right here. Put it up on screen. That's right, Mr. Anthony Hancock. Played in UT's first game versus a Big Ten team. That was the 1979 Bluebonnet Bowl versus Purdue. Had 11 catches in a bowl victory against Wisconsin, Garden State Bowl 1981. Led Tennessee in receptions for 3 straight years, 79, 80, and 81. First round pick of the Kansas City Chiefs in 82. Anthony Hancock, one of a handful of great Tennessee receivers out of the state of Ohio. And with Tennessee playing Ohio State, we thought that's where we'd go for the trivia contest to get you your tickets. Now, we will announce the winner of the contest in the next segment when we come back. All right, let's talk about the coaching matchup. I'll go ahead and put that up if we get a chance. Josh Heupel versus Ryan Day, both these guys in their 7th season. Ryan Day, his first season was like 3 or 4 games when he took over. 66-10. Guy doesn't lose very often. Josh Heupel 65-22. Their postseason record: Heupel 3-3, Ryan Day 2-4. I'm going to start with Sterling. I don't know why, because I already know the answer. Who wins the coaching matchup? But tell me why. Why does Josh Heupel win the coaching matchup? Sterl the Pearl.
Coach Heupel wins the coaching matchup because of our defense. That's why. We're going to bring some smoke to Ohio State that, they don't get every week. They don't get that diet of smoke we're bringing every week. I think by the time they get adjusted to it, our offense got some points on the board. It's going to be hard to catch up.
All right. So you like the SEC athletes in Tennessee going up there north?
I love it by the pound, baby.
Very good. All right. Bob Hodge, who wins the coaching matchup in your
I have gone,
estimation?
ever since you sent the question out, I've gone back and forth on this because I'm actually going to give it to Josh Heupel a little bit. Because I think Josh Heupel, since he's been at Tennessee, has had to overcome more things. He's had to adjust here and there. His offense this year doesn't look like his offense in 2022, as we talk about all the time. But he's adjusted with it. He's made Dylan Sampson the star instead of his quarterback being the star or receiver being the star. So I think since he's had to do more counter-punching with things, I'll give it to Heupel.
And I think if we even just look at it through the lens of just this season, maybe historically you might want to say Ryan Day because he's been in games like this more than Tennessee has, especially as of recently. But if we just look at it through this season, the way that Tennessee's been tested all season, the weak-ish schedule for OSU, and I don't think Tennessee's losses necessarily come from like poor coaching, but OSU's losses definitely comes from poor coaching and scheme. So I like Josh Heupel's opportunity in this game to get the advantage over Ryan Day just because of how they've answered the bell this season.
Paige, you're getting tons of applause from people out there right now for saying that Ohio State played a tougher schedule than Tennessee, or for suggesting they had a weakish schedule.
Yes, yeah, I think so. I think so.
They're loving it. All right. Tyler.
I'm going to lean Ryan Day for this reason and this reason only. Ryan Day has not had to deal with so many boo-boos on the fly like Tennessee has had to deal with Josh Heupel. What really concerns me about this team and in this matchup is the Vols' inability to not shoot themselves in the foot. There have been so many times where Heupel's gone to the line of scrimmage going, 3rd and 3, we just need 3 yards to be able to move the chains. 3rd and 8, 3rd and 13. I think this is going to be a huge advantage for Ohio State with this game being on the road. We talked about it. Sterl, now knowing about the music situation, and the whole time I was quietly keeping to myself throughout the last couple of weeks going, God, Tennessee needs to be able to get this home field advantage, because Tennessee, not only is it difficult for them to not come out of a game as one of the worst in college football against the penalties, but also the ability to be able to do it on the road, they're even worse. So I need Tennessee not to be able to have those pre-snap procedures or some of those additional penalties, those dumb penalties we keep talking about. It just seems like Josh Heupel has always got a plan, but then having to play from behind because of what's happening on the field.
Quick reactions?
Wow.
We'll say one thing. Day plays with better players, which sometimes can make you a lazier coach.
Sure.
Now, I'm not saying he is lazy. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying he's got the talent. So for him, he doesn't have to do as much tinkering and thinking.
It's
and,
like your Aaron
and
Rodgers,
that.
Tom
Yeah,
Brady.
it's like we're walking on the field and we're better the minute the first kickoff goes down the field.
Yeah.
So I think that makes it a little tougher on Heupel. I think that's what makes Heupel a little better.
I think you've nailed the fact that Heupel has shown he can win in different ways, something most of us didn't see coming when he was hired here. I don't know if Ryan Day has shown that yet. You know, especially you go back to the Michigan game.
He's just usually better than everybody.
Exactly.
And what I like most also, and I'm just going to end with this, my point on that topic, what Tyler and Bob spoke about, is we still haven't played our best game yet. It's not on film. Tennessee's best football game is not on film yet. And let's go, baby.
Is it fair to say they have to play their best game and have their fewest amount of penalties to win, though?
The fewest amount of penalties would definitely help them win. Few amount of penalties would definitely help them win.
Right.
But if we get our best game, baby, woo-wee, stirring the pot, make it hot, even in cold weather.
I'll leave it on that. All right, very good. When we come back, we are going to hand out, the weather's going to be a factor in this game. So we're talking a little cold weather. We might have some cold weather guys talk about dealing with the cold weather. We might even have a special guest here to announce the winner of the 2 tickets to Columbus. Come on back on the Sports Source. Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Games and Things. It's late in the Christmas shopping season game, so head to Games and Things to make sure that you're the big winner. Big gifts like pool tables and poker tables, smaller gifts like dart boards and pool cues, right down to gift cards. If you're just looking for a stocking stuffer at the last minute, give that. Let them pick out what they want from Games and Things, ourgameroom.com to learn more. All right, we're joined by one of the guys who made Tennessee wide receiver U. He was the answer to our trivia question today, Mr. Anthony Hancock.
Hey,
thank you very much for joining us, man.
Good to be here.
One of the best receivers to ever play over there.
I put my name tag on so I know who I am.
Well, I gotta say, we had a ton of people who got it right off the bat in terms of guessing that you were the person we were looking for. And we have a winner. The first person to send in the name correctly, if you could read it.
His initials are BB, Blake Braden.
Blake Braden.
Blake Braden. Congratulations.
There you go. And from Anthony Hancock himself, Blake Braden, you got the tickets to Tennessee, Ohio State. All I ask is don't just turn around and sell them. Then I'm really going to feel stupid for giving them away. All right, Blake, I'll be in touch with you via email after the show today, and we'll figure out how to get those tickets to you. And congratulations. And thanks to everybody for watching and playing today. The emails were massive. Thank you very much. Okay, now, I've got 2 guys here, one from Ohio, born in Cleveland, one born in Passaic, New Jersey. Yeah. This is going to be a cold weather game. I asked Ken Weathers, the 6 on your side chief meteorologist, and an old friend of mine, to give us a very quick long-range forecast for the game at Saturday. Ken?
Thanks a lot, John. It's going to be pretty mild as we go through the first half of this week, but wouldn't you know, it's almost winter time and it's going to feel like it. As we get later in the week and head towards game day itself, Arctic air is going to be plunging down out of Canada. This is Saturday on the 21st, so let's talk about first, before we get there, opportunity for some light snow if you're traveling up on Friday. This is 8 p.m. Friday. We'll go through Friday night into early Saturday morning. Yes, there could be a few flurries or light snow showers, but it does look a little bit drier as we get closer to game time. But this is an 8 o'clock start. It looks cold. 8 in the morning, it's cold enough, right? Upper 20s. Looks like by the time the game gets going, we're talking mid-20s here under a partly cloudy sky. We'll see the clouds thin out. Just watch for those wind chill values down into the teens as we go through the game. Winds are coming out of the northwest at about 6 to 12 miles per hour. John?
Very good. Ken Weathers giving us the weather forecast. The question is, how many times has Tennessee ever ventured into cold weather environments like this? I wanted to look it up. I thought it was interesting. Let's take a look here. This is all the times post-September. I'm not counting the early season games, so October, November, December. All the times Tennessee has gone up north, meaning north of the old Confederate states. So I didn't want to count Maryland, Missouri, so the border states aren't up into Yankee territory. So where you go is right there, and these are outdoors games. You played Syracuse in '98. That doesn't count. All right, you've played at Dartmouth, NYU in a bowl game, at George Washington, at BC. All those a long time ago. Only 13 times has Tennessee played in this kind of a situation. Not at all since 2005. This is also Tennessee's first ever trip to a Big Ten stadium, an original Big Ten stadium. Okay, guys, you played in cold weather games. You played in that Garden State Bowl against Wisconsin, caught 11 catches. You grew up in this stuff in New Jersey. Cold's just a state of mind, blah, 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 blah. How do you deal with the cold if you're not used to it?
First, I want to thank you again for allowing me to be a trivia question. I thought it was pretty neat, so thank you guys, Sports Source, for what you guys did.
Excellent.
Now, if it's 28 degrees, it's my fault. If it's 27 degrees, it's Al Wilson's fault. And 26 degrees is Willie Goff's fault.
There you go.
And so forth. But anyway, cold weather, and during the time period we were playing, we didn't have gloves. So these receivers wear gloves and things like that. So it's just a mindset. You know, when you're on the field and your adrenaline's flowing and you're out there on the field running and so forth, you really don't feel the cold weather. Now, I take that back. If you're not playing on the field, so if you're not a starter, you're not playing consistently, then you may get cold on the sideline. I don't know. But anyway, what we used to do, we used to take plastic bags and wrap our feet in plastic, and then put our socks around it. And that kept us feet warm during the time period.
Never heard it. Sterling, thoughts on playing in the cold?
You got to be playing. Like Hancock said, you got to be playing, and you got to get through that first half of that first quarter, brother. And Vaseline is my trick. Instead of lotion, put a jar of Vaseline all over my body and insulate myself because, my unfortunate thing of playing quarterback, receiver has to catch the ball, quarterback has to throw it. Back then we were underneath the center. So had to get the ball, which that sting, and then now in the shotgun it helps. But I tell you, I always gave away when I had a pass play because I come in the center like this, trying to warm my hands up.
The whole key when I talked about before was do not let your feet get wet. That's why we take now. I think you can use Kroger bags now and put them on your feet and then put your socks over it and so forth. Well, do not let your feet get wet and you're okay.
Well, and the funny thing is, you look at this, it's going to be supposedly clear up there on Saturday, so you don't have to worry about the precipitation. However, the way Tennessee plays football, defense in the run game, I don't know that a snowstorm wouldn't have helped even the odds a little bit. You may be suited for that kind of a cold weather game with your style of play had you had that kind of precipitation. Isn't it advantage? Like, I'm a Patriots fan, and for years I would watch the Tennessee Titans come into the playoffs, and they'd say, there's nothing to the cold. Patriots put them away. And maybe it's Tom Brady. Maybe it's the fact it was -5 wind chill, and they're not used to it. You got one team in Ohio State that's used to it. Tennessee's not used to it. Is that a factor or no?
Well, to me personally, you're playing Ohio State University, University of Tennessee, the Big Ten versus the SEC, and the players' excitement. They're not going to think about the cold weather. They're just going to play. Number one priority is winning the game. Yeah. And I think that they'll put their hearts and minds into it, and they'll be prepared.
So the fires of passion will keep them warm.
Definitely.
My thing is now with all the technology they got now, these heat warmer benches and all that stuff going on, it'll definitely help. It definitely help. But I've said it since day one because I come from the cold, and Hancock does also. The cold weather teams playing in the cold normally have the edge because weather does play a factor. And that's the same thing when they come down south in the summer.
That's right.
It plays a factor. Now, the key is you have to be able to take advantage of your edge fast because the other team, you're coming ready to play. And by the time you're ready to play, you don't even think about weather.
Very good. Right. Gentlemen, hang out. We're going to do predictions next. We've gone through a 90-minute preview for you. When we come back, we're going to give you game predictions for Tennessee, Ohio State. Everybody you've seen today, sans Mark Pancratz. Everybody else is going to be here making a pick. So come on back on the Sports Source. Here we go. Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Hearthside Bank. If you're looking for a mortgage lender, go no further than Hearthside Bank. A long history in Southeast Kentucky and East Tennessee. I got a good friend personally who, along with his entire family, they've turned to Hearthside for 3 different mortgages. Find out why folks keep going back again and again to Hearthside Bank. Visit their website today, hearthsidebank.com, or stop by if you're here in the Knoxville area. Stop by their branch out in Farragut, full-service branch right there. They're all over East Tennessee and southeastern Kentucky. Great people. hearthsidebank.com to learn more. Okay, we have covered a lot of stuff today, so let's go ahead and say thanks to everybody for doing a great job. Anthony, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate that last-minute drop-in. We'll start our predictions over at the bistro table. Paige, congratulations, you go first.
Hey, that's why I'm sat in this seat. I think going up, with Tennessee and Ohio State, they both have top 5 scoring defenses, so I think that'll be a huge contributor in this game. I think Dylan Sampson's going to have a massive game. I don't know how much we'll see on the perimeter, and I think field goals will probably feel like touchdowns in this game, so I'll take Tennessee 20-17.
All right, Paige takes the Vols. Vince Ferrara.
Wow. This is subject to change.
No, you have to stick with it all week.
Yeah, and look, this game to me is about mindset. I mentioned it earlier. I think Ohio State is different when they're not playing Michigan, and I think everyone is hoping that that's the Ohio State that we see. Tennessee will be able to have some success, but I think Ohio State's defense is so good. Give them the slight edge, and then the cold, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to go with Ohio State 24-21.
Okay. Bob Hodge, I know you're going back and forth.
Yeah, I'm going back and forth, and you caught me at the right minute to pick Tennessee.
Wow.
I'll go Tennessee 17-13.
Okay. Wow, how about that?
Come back to me at the end of the show.
Anthony, you got Tennessee going up against your old home state school.
At the end of the day, Tennessee will have more points than Ohio State.
Anthony
So
takes
Tennessee.
UT. All right.
Yes.
How much grief did they give you when you came down
Oh,
to
it's good.
Knoxville?
Oh, well, that's a good story. I have to tell you about one day.
We'll do it then.
Yeah.
Sterling hitting it. Oh, well.
Well,
Where you going with, Sterling?
You let the beauty go before all the beast. So I'm with the one thing I've been riding with the beauty is she got the amount of points that Ohio State will have correct. I got Ohio State 17, but I got Tennessee with 30.
Oh.
Going to Columbus to blow them out.
I
All
got
right.
Tennessee with 30, baby.
All right. Let's
Yes,
go to
sir.
the realists. Tyler Evans.
Ohio State 27, Tennessee 23. You've got to show me that you can come out of the bed and that you cannot shoot yourself in the foot. You're one of the worst penalized teams in college football, and you're going to their house. You said it earlier in the program. I'll regurgitate it as we say goodbye. They must play their best game of the year. Can Tennessee do that? I hope they can. I'll be Tennessee Tyler. I want the Vols to win this game. I don't think they will.
I hope they don't regurgitate. If Tennessee had a receiver from Ohio, I would feel differently about this game.
Well,
I got Ohio State 23-20.
Anthony Hancock, Peerless Price, Tim McGee, Anthony Morgan, and Andy McCullough. It's a heck of a five-some from the state of Ohio in terms of Tennessee great receivers. So I got to make my pick. And look, I was prepared. Ohio State's got the better roster. Ohio State's at home. They got the cold weather factor. They got the home field advantage. But then word came out in what should be a classic uniform matchup. These idiots may come out in all red long johns, and if they look like the Ohio State Mordecais, no, I can't go with them. I'm going with Tennessee.
Nano.
That's right. They're out, man. If they come out looking like they're in their long johns, I'm taking Tennessee to win this one. And yeah, there's a little bit of let's just end this on a high note to that, but still, Vols win. Hey, next week we'll be right back here. It is a full post-game show, the same kind we always do. That's next Sunday, and it'll also be our Christmas show. So we'll have a lot of festive, even regardless of outcome, you're going to see us in some of the goofiest, loudest get-ups of the year. And you know that if it's a win, it's going to be a big party. If it's a loss, we'll help you get through it. That's next week. Let me just close out here. In terms of what this game means, I kind of started with this. You've got a lot of people talking about, well, the bracket to get from here. I'm kind of looking at this as, if you win it, I know you want to win it, but you made it. I'm kind of looking at this as icing. If you go to Ohio State and win the game, that's icing. I'm not going to see much anger there. Anybody here take it that way, or you're like, no, win the darn game?
You're one of the 12 teams at the party. Yes.
Yeah, it's a game changer in our mentality.
Okay, all right. Good deal. Thanks to these guys. Thanks to you, and I'll be in touch with the contest winner shortly.